You're listening to Kraken Fancast, the podcast for Seattle Kraken fans by Seattle Kraken fans.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Porter, and welcome to another edition of Kraken Fancast, our annual summer check-in episode. And we're, as always, brought to you by the Penalty Box, located at 2510 South 84th Street in Lakewood. The Penalty Box is your destination for Kraken watch parties, gaming, live entertainment, great food, drinks, and fun. Check it out, the Penalty Box. As usual, I'm joined by my good colleague and friend, Jim Cockrell, for some Seattle Kraken hockey talk. As I mentioned, this is our summer check-in episode, which we always do. This is our preview of the development camp, which is happening this week. I get to see a lot of the new draftees, some older draftees working out with the team, so it's always interesting. So we're going to be checking out one or two of the days there, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. And also we go over team news that's happened since the end of the season, and holy cow, there's been a lot of news happening. We got a ton to talk about, so let's get right to it. First off, this isn't news to you who are following the Kraken, but we didn't really get a chance to talk much about the coach hirings and firings on May 29th, a little over a month after Dan Bilesma was let go as the Kraken's head coach. Lane Lambert was hired to take over the head coaching duties. Also, another changes besides Lambert, as the later days, we found out assistant coaches Dave Lowry, Steve Briere, and Bob Woods were let go. Jessica Campbell remains there, however, along with some lower-level staffers. But let's look a little bit about Lane Lambert for those of you who are wondering who this guy is. I was telling Jim I thought he looked a little like a guy from a rock and roll band I used to like a long time, the Cramps. But that's something we'll have fun with that meme later.
Oh yeah,
A little Lux Interior kind of vibe to him, but that's what I thought. That's just my 2 cents. But Lane Lambert. Okay, let me look at where all my I have too many windows open here. Okay, Lane. He joins Kraken after serving as the Toronto Maple Leafs assistant coach in 2024. Previously served as head coach of the New York Islanders from 2022 to 2024, compiling a 61, 46, and 20 record, and he led the team to the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2023. Before becoming head coach, Lambert was the Islanders' associate coach from 2018 to 2022. From 2014 to 2018, he was an assistant with the Washington Capitals, including their 2018 Stanley Cup championship season. So he's been on a championship team before. He held also the same role with the Nashville Predators from 2011 to 2014. He also had some stints coaching the AHL Milwaukee Admirals and a little bit also in the WHL with Prince George and the Moose Jaw Warriors. And he was also a longtime NHL player. Also adding up was Aaron Schneekloth as an assistant coach, Chris Taylor and Colin Zulianello were added as all the assistants. Colin, the goaltending coach, brought him up from Coachella, so that makes some sense. Chris Taylor and Aaron, we can get to details on that in a little bit, but let's talk about Lane Lambert. What were you thinking of that hiring, Jim?
Hey, how's it going? Checking in here. I think it was a surprise. I don't think it was on anybody's radar, to be honest with you. He's got quite a resume. Obviously, mostly assistant and advisory work. A ton of WHL, like you said, a ton of A and everything else. A lot of assistant work and some head work in Milwaukee, like you said. But most importantly, working under Trotz for 3 different clubs, basically. Trotz is basically his mentor, and honestly, could you have a better mentor? That's a huge plus. We'll see how it translates with us. I guess in the interview process, he did rather well, and I thought to myself, well, I remember posting up on X when he got hired something to the about, well, when you put yourself in a hole with timing and firings and all this, you got to make decisions, and then people are already gone and what have you. And they fluffed it up quite a bit, but
yeah, it took a while. We were waiting there for quite a while.
Yeah, I did, and you got what you got. You went out, you got him. You said the interview's fine, and that's great. And hopefully it works out.
You think Pete DeBoer would have been better? It was funny when they hired him. Like, what was it? 2 days later, DeBoer gets fired.
I know. But nobody was going to hire DeBoer at that moment. As great of a coach or his record is, whatever his history, after what went down, there's no way he was going to get hired then. But everything was good on paper. He's pretty much this is his time to shine. He had that HC coach at the Islanders. It lasted a little year and a half or what have you, and then it got canned, and Patrick Waugh took the reins there. But this is his chance to shine. We'll see how it goes. I'm more curious about his assistant coaches selections, and because there's some pretty good resumes there as well.
Yeah, especially in the minors, a lot of AHL coaching from Schneekloth and
yeah, and he was very successful with Colorado. The Eagles and all, and Taylor's been around forever. Taylor's played a ton of hockey himself, and he's been all over the place. What a resume! And he's played 149 NHL games as well, 3 different clubs. Very, very impressive. And his last stint was with New Jersey for 5 years as an assistant. And say what you will about New Jersey's coaching style, it works for the most part. It's pretty consistent. So we'll see how that works out. And Suskov will be the D side, and Taylor will be the O side. And the goaltender coach that they brought up from Coachella as well apparently had a good relationship with Grew, and that had a lot to do with Grew's later season success and what have you when he came back or pulled back for his little demotion there. He had nothing but good things to say about his coaching experience down there, and I think that's part of the reason that Bots said, we're not going to can that. We're not going to put him on the buyout deal. It just doesn't make sense financially, and we like what we saw down there, and maybe it'll just help out. So we'll see.
Yeah, and obviously Joey Decord learned a lot from him with his year in Coachella and coming up, and Nicky Coco was with him most of last year. So those guys know him and seem to really like him and respond to him. So that's great. One other thing too that happened recently too, we got our old friend Dave Tippett back as a coaching consultant. I don't know how much consulting that means he'll do, but former longtime NHL coach, and he was sort of an advisor early on. Left.
He was.
Now he's back. So hopefully that helps. He's a guy I have a lot of respect for.
Oh yeah, I feel like he's been the advisor throughout the league, it seems like, but I think it was the first partial hire for the Kraken before they hired Ronnie, to get the wheels going on the ground, if I recall. But yeah, I'm really curious how it's going to work out. I don't expect, they always say like, okay, what's his game like and everything. Well, we know his game is it's a heavy forecheck. It's accountability per player. It's box out, keep the high danger shots down. On the other end, it's clean house in front of the paint. It's an aggressive style, but it's basic style as well. We'll have to see how everything clicks because there's a lot of categories that need work on this club from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, besides all those shuffle up with the coaches, a little bit of shuffle up with the players. We found out you'd mentioned Grubauer. He's according to GM, he's not going anywhere. Grubauer they'll keep, as you mentioned, just touched on there. And so, but Andre Burakovsky, that was another tough contract they were stuck with. Traded him to Chicago for Joe Velino, and then ended up buying out Velino. And so, what were you saying to me earlier? They saved about $4 million on that deal.
Yeah, it's 4.5 the first year alone, I believe. Okay, we all know. Everybody freaked out. That was an early morning announcement, if you recall. I can remember waking up going, "Whoa, that's a big deal there," and of course everybody did, and people were just, ready to roast, this great deal and all. And there was somebody said, "All right, where's all you, Botterill haters now?" And I thought, look, it's not about. There's never been a hater. It's just been about his resume coming here wasn't that outstanding, and we were just very, we're going to give it some time here to figure out what's going on. But that's a hell of a deal. We got it off the books. No retention. That's just a good deal. It didn't cost him much. And everybody knows where Berkey was in his career and everything. And you had heard me talking about it from the very first big injury. It's like you could see he was a changed player. He was very timid, this, that. Hopefully his career turns around. He's going to Chicago, a young club. And you never know, that club could be something in 2 or 3 years, and he might just work out the day he gets there.
Yeah. Well, we wish him the best, but yeah, the Burakovsky experiment did not really work too well in Seattle. So good for all concerned here. Shortly after that, June 19th, Mason Marchment from the Dallas Stars, very high-powered team, who I thought, and I think you did too, Jim, thought they were going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, that Edmonton beat them, but Dallas had a hell of a year, and Marchment was part of that. He was part of the Dallas Stars for 3 seasons. Started off in the Toronto organization, ended up with Florida for about a season and a half or so, and then Dallas, where he really kind of came more into his own once with the Stars. But Kraken picked him up for a round 4 pick in 2025 draft and round 3 pick in the 2025 draft. He's a left wing, shoots left, 30 years old. Is he going to make much difference, Jim?
Well, you know me, I've always squawked about power forwards. I mean, more than anything, right? That's more than anything.
Yep.
He's a power forward technically. He's a third liner in Dallas and a second liner here, most likely. 6'5", 212. He likes to hang on the paint. He likes to do dirty work in the corners. He can do it. He's had back-to-back 22-goal seasons, something he's never done before. I think that was quite appealing to our staff about, say, let's take a look at him. This could be good. Difference maker, I don't know. But the nice thing is he's a late blooming career that's continuing going up. I think it'll work fine. I think people are going to be excited to see a different style of play out of a guy we really haven't had before on this club when you think about it.
So kind of like when we saw Montour, you were like, hey, it was like, there's a little breath of fresh air there. And
yeah,
maybe not as dramatic, but I mean, my concern is everything you say I agree with, and it's true, but he also had a much better team around him. Like,
of course.
So that I sometimes wonder, sometimes you look how well he did on whoever it is, did on that team. No guarantees here, of course, but but you're right. He has been one of those guys that has slow trajectory, and he'll probably get more playing time with the Kraken.
Oh, obviously. And the thing is he's a player that you love when he's on your team and you hate when he's not on your team. And we really haven't had one of those bona fide that you can talk about like that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of mixed on this. A lot of people are like, whoa, it's a pretty good deal. But we'll see, and we'll continue to talk about other players here in the process.
Yeah. Well, another one that happened around the same time, Frederick Gaudreau from the Minnesota Wild. Kraken sent a round 4 pick for him. He's centerman, shoots right, 32 years old, so a little older than Marchment. Started off in the Predators organization, ended up with the Penguins for a short time, and then signed as a free agent with Minnesota Wild back in 2021. So he was with them for quite a while, and like Marchment, kind of came a little more into his own once he was with Minnesota. Last season, 37 points. Not bad. I remember, being at Wild and Kraken games and him, seeming to be a pretty solid player out there. Nothing hugely special, but could help. But we got some centermen already, so I don't know how much he's going to help.
Well, he's slotted for 4C. He's a great two-way player. His point production for that is pretty good. He could play the PK too. It's kind of a confusing deal, but I get it. That the Kraken have done this in the last couple of years, late to pick up certain players like they have. Is it a difference? Is he a difference maker? I don't know. How does it mess with camp when guys have good showings, like possibly Berkeley Catton at C? The rumor is you push him off to the wing if he makes a club and all that stuff. And you know how I feel about natural centermen being pushed to wings. I hate it. But we can't get too ahead of the game here. I also hear he's quite a character guy in the room and culture guy in the room. So that probably had a lot to do with too, just leadership and all.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then there could be some more signings or free NHL free agency. We're recording this on the 30th, so this will come out shortly after it. The NHL free agency starts at July 1 at noon, East Coast time. It's kind of a weak market though, Jim, right? I mean, a lot of guys who would be really attractive have already re-signed with their teams or they've been part of a trade. Not there was a little Jordan Kyrou rumor going around that Kraken are interested in him, although Montreal and at least one other team are Jordan from Kyrou from St. Louis Blues, and Anthony Beauvillier, and there's a few other guys out there who are good players, but nobody that the Kraken certainly weren't in the Mitch Marner sweepstakes, and it's a little light out there.
Yeah, technically it was a week to go in, and then, players were a lot of RFAs were signed, late here, like Marner was the trade, which was weird, 1-for-1 with Nicholas Roy. That was funny. That was a paper. That was a tricky move. It's typical, but it worked. But 8 years, 12 on that contract, which is pretty wealthy. And then the Marchand deal, which blows me away at his age at 37. I mean, go for it, boy. I can't believe that stuff. And then the Ekblad signing. And
Florida's the team to beat again.
God, it's crazy. I mean, that's some management going on there. I'm telling you, man. So we'll see. And then the FA market is pretty dead. I mean, we all know it. There's not much going on. Maybe Nikolai Ehlers maybe is one of the bigger draws, but the Kraken were never. And I mean, you finished 27 last year. What's your goal is to make the playoffs at a minimum, right? Well, I mean, that's what you try. It's not going to happen overnight. You're kind of, you're this team. The two guys we picked up, are they worth 15 points in the standings for you? Who knows? I don't think so. But it's upwards. I think ultimately I think we have to get rid of more vets that we already have and just work some deals and go. So who knows? And we got next year's contracts that got to go away or whatever. Schwartz, Ebbs, Tolvey, those all got to be working on. Those are UFAs and such. They're just expecting to, hopefully just get people in the seats, I believe, with what they got. They weren't going to get anybody. Nobody with those big names is coming here if he's, they're not going to make the playoffs.
I mean, the hope is, hoping that these kids just keep developing and Shane just keeps getting better. And, we just there was some qualifying offers sent over. Speaking of cap stuff, Capo Caco, Riker Evans, and Ty Cartier were just given offers that it seems like they're going to get their deals worked out. So we got a pretty young team. Wish there were some bigger guys in there, but maybe that's what, you bring in Marchment and Gaudreau for that.
Yeah, and technically, you still need a couple wingers to fill on this club before we go here. So they might go out and get some lesser names in the group or whatever, but I don't expect any huge big names. I wouldn't anyway, and that seems to be the consensus with a lot of folks.
Right. Yeah. So what so they need to improve on what you and I were talking about team stats from last year. They need to improve on. There's a bunch they could use some improvement everywhere, but I mean it's squirming and
it is. It's I mean in a quick, basic, easy nutshell here. We were 27th in the league last year, right? It's got to go up from there. There's a lot of red marks here. Goals against 9th or 24th, however you reverse it. That has got to improve. That was way worse in years past for the most part. Goals for was actually on par, about mid-pack, which is you don't expect much more than that compared to the other stats. Power play at 18-9, 23rd in the league. That's got to go up. PK 21st, 77.2%. That's got to get going. So this is where those assistant coaches hopefully come into play here, and we'll see what they can draw up. Shots for 25th in the league. Now, this is something where we've always been down low. This has got to improve. And Lane Lambert is all about shots and shot quality, and hopefully we can see some number reversal there. Shot against 17th, 28-6. At one time, we were 5th in the league on 5-on-5s a couple years ago. So that has got to improve. Or pardon me. Yeah. And then face off, we don't even talk about that anymore. It doesn't matter. And, Gaudreau could be a little helpful down there So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Are we thinking any more of the Coachella kids coming up? Because they had a little bit of a down season. I mean, it's still a fine team, and made the playoffs again all 3 years of their existence. We got a little spoiled their first two years getting to the Calder Cup final. They got round two exit to Abbotsford, who Abbotsford the Canucks won the whole Calder Cup. So you can say, well, you lost to the eventual champs. That team was on fire this year, but. Yeah, any more of those guys you foresee maybe getting in a little bit?
No, it just seems to be where we left off last year with Yanni Newman potentially on a wing slot there, and then of course everybody talking and with the whole Berkeley Catton thing. The thing about Berkeley, he's in a very similar scene that Shane was with his age and what he can get away with and what he can do by league rules up and down. He's too good for the dub. And you don't want to burn up that ELC type of stuff with a 9-game tryout. Maybe you want to hit that and then get him out of there and been relying on a little more international player or whatever, but he's still too young on the AHL side of things. So they're going to have to get crafty with him just like they did with Shane. But if he comes in,
you don't want a situation where he shows up here and he's just sitting there. He's he's getting 8 minutes a game. You got to get him playing like
we saw this with Shane, remember? And
yep.
I was getting livid, and a lot of people were, and I still personally think he could have played anyway. It doesn't matter to me, and I don't, I'll gripe about Shane's minutes anyway, and he still only averaged 14 minutes last year. So if he's going to be slotted in at probably third again, Shane, it's those minutes better go up a little bit or what have you. So it's just a touchy situation. Hopefully they manage it okay, even better than Shane if they could. But I don't know how you can in that predicament. But maybe he has a really good camp and he just shows up and he's just, a stud.
Yeah. So. Fingers crossed. Well, speaking of the young studs, let's get to the other thing that was really exciting the other day was the NHL Draft. The Kraken had pick number 8 in round 1. They had picks in rounds 1, 2, 3. They didn't have anything in 4, so 5 and 2 and 7. And the number 1 pick, Jake O'Brien, centerman from the Brantford Bulldogs. Round 2 was Blake Fiddler, defenseman from the Edmonton Oil Kings. That was a pick we got from Philadelphia. Also another one they got from a Philadelphia deal, Will Reynolds, a little bit later in round 3. He's a defenseman from the Acadie Bathurst Titan, another junior Canadian team. Round 5, Maxim Agafonov, defenseman from Topa Lifa. Round 7, these last 2 were from a deal with Columbus. Carl Onborn is a defenseman, and round 7, the final pick, 218 pick, was a guy named Lake. Or am I right? No, Loke, excuse me. Loke Krantz. We're going to butcher these names. I'll get used to them eventually. Loke Krantz, a right winger from Liko Pinging Jr. So what do you know about these guys? Anybody excited? Jake O'Brien's mom was a former pro. She got him into hockey as much as his dad, it sounds like. It was an interesting story about him.
Yeah, really good stuff. First and foremost, that was a very brutal draft to watch production wise on the tube. I mean, that was bad. That was horrible. I didn't see one good comment. It was very uncomfortable. It was much like watching an episode of The Office. So we took Jake 8, like you said. Great centerman, played at OHL at Brantford. 6'2", 176. He's the exact same size as Matty Beniers right now. Or Matty was in his first year, so we all know about that. Patience, playmaker, high IQ, puck handling, confidence, possession game, works well in traffic, finds seams with his passing layouts. He has this really good ability to slow down the play once he breaks the blue line. Now, this is a quality of a player that is hard to reach. When I was coaching, I used to try to tell guys about this. If you got it, if you can do it. It's usually that's the IQ and just his smarts and the playing ability. But he has this ability to get in the zone, pull it up, look around, and dictate the play, and which is really nice to see. This guy, a lot of people are happy about this. Personally, I'm it's going to work out, I hope. Personally, I was a little higher on Radim Marka, the big 6'6" defenseman from the T-Birds that went the pick right after to Buffalo. And obviously, we're into the age of best player available, and the Kraken figured best player available. And of course, we all said, "Oh my God, another centerman." We had 400 centermen, um, and you know where I stand about taking natural centermen and putting them on the wing and die on that thing.
Well, unless you use them for trades.
Yeah, but the thing is like I wouldn't use him as for trade as much as
No,
some
not
of the
him.
others
I mean,
others we have in the past. I mean,
right.
I get that. I almost feel like we should have been doing that already at some point. Um, the it's gonna. I hope it works out well. He's a good, very likable kid, and a lot of the experts seem to think it was a great pick at that position, and it was. Um, Number two pick pops out to me almost more because we did the trades and moved around there
And I
because
forgot to mention one part. Maybe you were getting, sorry if you were getting this, but his dad was Vern Fiddler. I didn't even correct
oh yeah,
my mind there. So former NHL player for a long time. He was a Pred and Dallas Star
yep,
for a while, among some other players. So it's in the family.
yep, definitely. So the trade happened, and it worked out because defensemen were starting to go in the group. They figured, if we're playing this best available player, a lot of the forwards were already gone. The D were starting to. There was like in 7 picks just prior, and they moved around and went up 2 spots, and that's when they picked Fiddler, who's got great size, 6'5", 220. He's an American-born kid from Nashville, actually. Creative skater. He's powerful on the rear back end with the backward skating work. He's got great mobility. Neutral zone shutdown, keeps the gap tight. He can play the physical game. He's a grade A draft, half a point a game guy. Some international play under his belt. This guy could turn out, man. We'll see. I really like that pick. I really do, considering, our D pipeline is pretty short right now when you look at it up and down. So I'm happy with that one. And then after that, the rest of these, I still grade this our weakest draft in our 5-year drafting history. As far as overall, and it didn't help that we only had 6. Well, originally going in 5, and we ended up getting 6 with that trade at the end there for the 7th rounders. But it's okay. 4D, 2 forwards. I'm just keen on the first 2 guys. Anything after that, I don't expect much, to be honest with you. But we will see him at camp starting tomorrow.
Yeah, development camp. So that is always interesting. So that's at the Kraken Iceplex. They were doing some, sort of check-in things with the guys. I don't think they've ended up playing too much today, but the next 3 days they'll be pretty busy. First 2 just for media watch, and then the third one, season ticket holders had or a limited amount of season ticket holders had an opportunity to get tickets to see that along with the media. So. Yeah, and where is again? I said I had too many things up here. The camp roster. Here we go. Um, so obviously Berkeley Catton. I mean, we're going to see a number of names we've talked about before. Andre Loshko, Ben McDonald, Jake O'Brien. Obviously the pick, he'll be there. Carson Rakoff, Nathan Villeneuve. The other draft picks and all, Fiddler, of course, and Agaronov. Who else are we seeing? Dragasevich, Tyson Jugnot, Caden Price, among some others, and plus the picks that we just mentioned. And then goaltenders, though, these are all new guys. There's only one guy from the draft, Visa Vedempa, who was in the 2023 draft. The other 3 are all invitees. So, anything you're looking forward to seeing? I guess, I mean, we're really looking forward to seeing Berkeley and seeing how much his game's getting better.
Right. I mean, I'm looking for the big names straight out of the box. I'll be keening on them a lot. I do like paying attention to Juggy. I've been paying attention to him since day one when he showed up, and I've always liked his game. I'm going to be concentrating on the staff and seeing what's going on, how they're going to run that. And I'm just looking forward to watching Berkeley a lot, see how much game is going to go here, and we'll see. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it's first a little bit of hockey before the training camp later on in September, so it'll be fun to see them. All right. Also, what else has been going on? Well, the league was going through some meetings as well, and the NHL and the NHL Players Association agreed to an 84 game schedule, playoff salary cap, and other key elements of the new CBA. Uh, they're still kind of working a few things out, but an 84 game schedule, which is that going to take away? Is that going to mean less? I don't know if they're doing like the
Yes.
NFL. They're going to mean less preseason. Okay,
Yeah, that's what they
good.
say, and that makes sense.
It
But
does.
yeah, it does.
I didn't want to
Obviously,
assume that.
no, it makes sense. I mean, but you know me, I hate the length of the schedule, so I'll always go back to the 70s and 80s length schedule.
And that was how long? How many?
Anywhere from 72 to 76. I
Yeah,
mean,
made all the games a little.
but we know why we do it, man. We know why they do it. They want the money. It's all about the money. I get it, but at the same time, these guys, this is killer on these guys. You know that? It's a long ass season. I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised the players union gave in. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, again, money, right? Or
Well,
some
it's all money,
deals,
man.
even for them. Um, let's see. Then let's see. The preseason schedule was
Yep.
up, and now where I do with that. Pretty much, same timing within September and getting toward October, but 6 games. First one at September 21st, 5 p.m. against the Vancouver Canucks. That's here at Climate Pledge. And then they go up to Calgary on the 23rd, over to Edmonton the following day, then back against the Vancouver Canucks at Vancouver. So they're on the road for the next, home for the first one, on the road for the next three, and then the last two are back home, Calgary and Edmonton. They're just playing all the Northwest teams rather, playing with each other. So yeah, there you go. So plan on that. We probably will hear I don't know. I mean, probably second, third week of July for the whole schedule.
Um,
All right.
I can't
It's
remember.
varied at times, so that's why I'm not sure.
It's coming real quick. So, yep.
Yeah. So we got that to look forward to. All right. Gee, that was a lot to go through, and we got through it all, man. Wow.
Condensed version.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just saw this long, long list, but a lot of it's just,
I know. I had the weirdest note taking session from the last game of the year till now. It's like things would pop up, and I go, I better write that down just in case, because I have not been tuned into hockey at all. In fact, um, as far as the playoffs go, I was really totally out of it. When my teams aren't in it, and what my teams are. But I got to admit, though, towards the end there, when I was all in on the Marchand deal, so and then it was just quite.
the Final Four was great hockey
Yeah.
watching. I mean, not all the games were great. There were
No.
duds, but most of them were really great games. I think the only thing that I was bummed at for the finals is that it didn't go 7 games. But Florida was the better team. I thought
Yeah.
Edmonton might give them a run. I thought, maybe they're a little better than last year, and that's what a lot of pundits were. And I appreciate McDavid and would have liked to, in some ways, see him get one somewhere along the line. Didn't have to be this year, but anyway, I just want to see good hockey and see Marchie do so well.
Oh.
It put a smile on my face. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
and the other guys too. And I'm just as like, gosh, there was, I just appreciate great hockey, even if
Yeah.
whatever team we're talking about, even if it's a team maybe with some players we don't like or the fan base, whatever. I've gotten to a point in my life now. I don't get so angsty about rivalries in this team and all that. Other than my teams, yeah, who are our teams, Seattle and Boston. But the rest of it, it's just like, show me a good game, man. Who are your
Yeah.
best players? And there's so many good players to watch in all of these teams, and no shortage of that in the Edmonton or Florida teams. But man, that took a lot of wind out of Edmonton's sails. I have a feeling we're going to see a different Western
Oh
Conference
yeah.
final team. But anyway, Florida, man, geez, they're three big guys. They re-signed them all. I can't believe it.
That's a hell of a management team
And
there.
they have a fantastic coach. God bless. I like
Oh.
him a lot. So
Oh yeah.
hey, it works. So anyway, okay, so there you go. Summer hockey talk. We'll be checking back in in September before the probably around preseason, maybe a little bit before preseason starts. A little more news and kind of rev up for a new season. The 2025-2026 season is just a few weeks away, so get ready for that, folks. Continue to enjoy your summers and stay cool out there, and we'll have some more news. Keep an eye on our X account. We're on Instagram and Facebook, but X is where we do most of our chatter, so please reach out to us there. Keep informed on all kinds of news there for the team. And yeah, so Jim, thanks a lot for checking in here, and cheers to our great producer Jay Middleton and our buddy Nathan Gunderson, wherever he is. He's out coaching his son's team, so that's why we don't hear from him as much anymore. But cheers to Nathan, and cheers to all of you for listening and all your support. I'm Chris Porter, Jim Cockrell. As always, we say, go Kraken.